Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing good today. It is extremely hot in Poole. It's like kind of an English heat wave. So I have got my windows open, so you might hear like birds and stuff, but I'm incredibly hot. Today I want to film like another following video. I did one a few months back and I was following a Hung Van Gogh makeup tutorial. He specialises in like supermodels and that kind of like very like makeup artist aesthetic. But I was watching a Patrick STARRR tutorial the other day and he does his makeup in such a different order to how I do it. He kind of like hops around, he does eyes first, and I thought I want to try that. So yeah, today we're going to be following a Patrick STARRR makeup tutorial. It's quite a recent one. I don't have all the products he uses, but I do have a few one size products which I will be using. Every product I've had from him I've loved. It's definitely something I want to get more of. But yeah, I think I've got enough products that I could achieve a similar look. But for me, what I'm most interested in is the order. I'm very much like a base girl first, then eyes, then lips. And yeah, he kind of like dots around. So I want to see whether that might be something that I might want to change the order around. Like I did last time, I will kind of leave his video like somewhere on the screen so we can kind of follow it along together. I would love it if you could like and subscribe. It would mean an awful lot to me. And yeah, let's get into it.
Alright guys, so I have started with my brows. Y'all know what I like, the 2016 brow. If you guys want to see a brow in-depth video, let me know in the comments below. It really takes me a long time, so I can't really talk to you guys here on YouTube and do the brows because I'm cutting the brows, I'm elongating them, and this is really important because the brows frame the rest.
So first of all, he starts off with his brows, and he says in his video he likes 2016 brows, so there's no like fluffing, so we're gonna kind of give it a go. I used to use the Benefit kind of, it was like a powder and gel duo. I don't have that anymore, so I'm gonna be using, he does use a pencil, so I'm gonna go with my NYX micro brow pencil, and I guess I'm just going to kind of follow the whole of my eyebrow, like top to bottom. I mean, we did love a very structured brow back in the 2016 days. Luckily, I kind of went from having like not wearing, like when I first went to uni I didn't use anything on my brows. I was always like into makeup, but it wasn't until uni and we were going out like all the time, and I kind of went from having like no eyebrows to like this, just with a full face, and then this is kind of how I used to do my brows, like looks quite heavy and dark, but actually it's not the worst. And I only really used to use like one product. I literally used to use, yeah, the Benefit. It was like a little duo. I think actually Sleek made a copy, like a, I wouldn't even call it like a dupe. It was literally like a rip-off of it. And I think maybe I went to that because it was probably like £6 over like 20. But yeah, it was like a powder, and I was just powdering my brows. In my last video I spoke about how I think one eyebrow goes higher, and I was thinking about it when I was editing. I have had Botox, and I was thinking, I wonder if the Botox has kind of worn off on like one side more than the other. Like I have so much more like movement in this one. It's only been the past few years and it's only at certain times, and I think it is when I've not had like Botox in a while, and I think that's what's happening. Okay, we've got Blocky 2016 brows. Okay, and then he cuts the brow. Again, I never do this. I've done it a few times, but yeah, it was just never something that I felt like I needed to do. So I'm going to take like a flat brush and then my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, and this is in Chantilly, so this is the lightest. And he kind of puts light underneath and then more skin tone over the top. So I'm going to give that a go. Yeah, I definitely think one brow is sitting, like look, higher than the other. But when I'm fully relaxed. Okay, and then I need to go up the middle as well. Okay, and then for skin colour, I'm going to go in with my my One Size Turn Up the Base BB cream, and I'm going to use this as my foundation, so I thought I might as well use this as the kind of top colour. It's not that different from below. I guess it does kind of highlight the brow, but this is just taking such a long time when I feel like my foundation ends up looking the same. But maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe it is like user error over like technique error.
Where I like to blend this, as you guys know, this acts kind of like my primer.
Okay, and now it kind of goes over everything with his beauty blender. And I guess it takes off like any excess product if you've gone like too heavy.
Since I'm working top to bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and take my full coverage foundation by MAC and just lightly apply this on the forehead.
And he now says he's going to be working top to bottom. So he's going to be taking his foundation and working this onto his forehead with a brush. So I am going to do the same. I'm just going to be kind of putting this all over the forehead. He does, because he's wearing like a turban, he puts like his sweat-proof primer around his forehead. I'm just going to skip that step because I don't feel like I need to mattify around the edge.
So if you're new here, I like to set my primer, aka my full coverage MAC foundation, on my eye, just because this is really, really wet and I don't want my eyeshadow to stick to it. So I like to set that.
And then he sets his eyes with his One Size. This is just the translucent powder. This is one of my favourite powders. I am obsessed with it. So I'm just going to run this over the eyes because we're going to be doing eyes. And to be honest, sometimes I have done eyes first, but 99% of the time I feel like I like to see how the rest of my makeup is looking before I kind of decide my eye look. And I feel like I struggle to see it like come together when I haven't got all my face on, if that makes sense.
So you can see I'm taking my transition shade, tapping off some excess, and then going right into the crease. It's just blending seamlessly. Alright guys, so since I'm wearing red, I'm gonna go ahead and take this holiday palette from One Size in this copper shade. And I'm just gonna apply this and blend it all the way out for that smoke.
Okay, so I've got my Beauty Bay Nude palette, and it's kind of got every kind of nude shade you could possibly want. And he goes in with like a transition colour and just kind of buffs that through. Kind of, it's not too far from his skin tone. So I am gonna take Nothing Less. Okay, I think I need a darker tone, so I'm gonna switch to Bare Necessity because it looks like more pigment is going onto his eyes.
Let me blend this eye and do the lid, and let's jump right into the eyeliner before I get carried away.
Okay, and then all of a sudden, he has this like a beautiful smoky eye. So yes, I'm going to try and copy this. And the edges are quite like dark. And there's almost like a wing. I'm just kind of going in with any kind of like warmish brown and just kind of like building super slowly so it's super kind of blended. Then I'm going to take some of the dark brown and just intensify that corner. Okay, I think that's kind of there. I'm now going to try and create this on my other eye. Okay, so here we are. We've got two smoky eyes. I tried to follow and I got them to the nearest part. His look super blended. I wouldn't say a bad eyeshadow, but I wouldn't say it's like my forte either. So his look so like, mine don't look that good, but.
So I took my One Size Go Off wipes and I wiped my eyeshadow. You see, it's giving me guide. It's giving me a template to where I put my eyeliner later.
Okay, so now he takes like a face wipe and kind of like cuts the corner. Again, don't really do this because I quite like blown out looks. But and he goes all the way under. And up. Oh, I guess it does give you like shape. So it cleans under here. And then up. Okay.
But I like jump around. I know I'm like very confusing when it comes to the glam, but it'll make sense later. But I'm gonna go ahead and take my Secure the Blur Makeup Magnet Primer.
Okay, so now he does take a primer and he takes a pore filling primer. So I've got just the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. This is just the normal one. Okay, and he puts this all over actually, so not just in the T-zone. Like for pore filling things, I don't really go around my whole face. I just kind of usually put it in my T-zone, but let's see how this goes. I really do love these putty primers. Like, love them.
Okay, y'all know that I am a full coverage girly. With that, I'm just gonna apply, I mix a few foundations. I mix a little bit of Lancome, a little bit of Tom Ford. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this on my face and blend it out.
Okay, now foundation. So I'm going to take the BB cream. So yeah, this is the One Size Turn Up the Base BB cream. It's a Beauty Blur Balm. This is incredibly full coverage, and he blends his in with a sponge. So I'm going to do the same. With this BB cream, I like to put on a little layer and then kind of build up with it. If I go too heavy to start, I find that sometimes it like clings onto my dry patches and doesn't look the best. And then kind of build up where I feel like I need that kind of just a little bit extra. Okay, so we are now blank canvas.
I mean, while we're here, if you guys have any constructive criticism about the brand or any products or what we could do better, let me know. We are literally 3 years old. Our anniversary is coming up around July.
Okay, so he uses quite a full coverage concealer in the center. So I'm going to take my HNB Soft Focus Airbrush Concealer, and this is in SF 0.5N. And I'm just going to do a tiny bit here where he did. And then it looks like he goes in with another concealer. I might be wrong, but the rest of it doesn't seem as bright. And then really goes to town with the concealer. And kind of really goes out and down. I mean, this is an awful lot of concealer. And then yeah, he just takes a sponge and kind of works this in. Looks like he just goes around the edge at first, blending that in. And then he kind of goes in under the eye. Saying I put on an extreme amount of concealer, I feel like I don't really have much on under my eyes, but those two concealers are, the second one I used was my Modern Radiance one from VIEVE. Those two concealers are my two like favourite kind of full coverage ones. So again, I'm just tapping out the edge. I normally like to tap out my concealer with a brush. I sometimes do it with a sponge, but we are beat. My skin does look lovely though. Notice he didn't conceal. Normally I put a bit down my nose and I conceal other places, but I notice that he doesn't do that.
The contour that I'm using is Huda Beauty in the shade medium. I like to take the other side and flip it over and just start to buff this out.
And then the contour is contouring. So we are going to take like a dense brush. This is a Real Techniques. Like a bit more is needed here. And then he takes a bigger brush. This one is a tiny bit fluffier. And then he just buffs this in. Again, I never really, I sometimes put a bit of powder bronzer kind of under my neck, but I never normally cream contour my like chin or neck. It kind of, the other places are quite similar to kind of where I would normally like cream bronze slash contour. Okay.
I will say there is something about setting my makeup knowing that my skin looks smooth with the powder, because that means I've been doing my skincare really well.
Then he takes his loose powder again and sets all of this down like all over with a puff. So I have my Trigwell and I'm just going to set over all of this with my powder.
Now y'all know the drill. I'm gonna dust this off with a Turn Up the Base powder foundation.
Okay, and then he takes a powder foundation. I don't actually own a powder foundation. I don't really like them. As I've got dry skin, I find them very cakey. I feel very powdered already, but I'm going to use some of my Light Plus Mineralized Skin Finish from MAC, and it goes in with a brush for this, like a really big fluffy one, and just kind of goes over all of that. I guess it just must give that extra kind of coverage. I mean, my skin is looking incredibly like flawless and like airbrushed.
Okay, so time for eyeliner. If you guys didn't see, I did my contour and I just cut the nose with some loose setting powder, just bake and brighten.
Okay, and then all of a sudden, we're like baking again under the eyes. This is an extreme amount of powder in my pore. Dry skin is feeling this, but he bakes, so we bake. Okay. He also like cuts his nose, which I don't really know how to do. So I kind of bakes up here as well. I mean, his looks really great and mine looks, but my skin is struggling with all this powder.
I'm gonna go ahead and take my MAC acrylic red eyeliner. I'm gonna take this with a liner brush and slowly line my eyes.
Okay. He then goes in with a red eyeliner. I don't have a red eyeliner, so I'm going to take this kind of like orangey from ELF and like a kind of really thin brush, and hopefully I will be able to use this as eyeliner. Okay, it kind of shows off. It's definitely softer. And he follows his wing. Okay, but it's not bad. It's subtler, but I guess I don't really wear a lot of colour, so maybe it's nicer that mine is a bit less dramatic. Okay. Mine isn't as drastic as his, but I kind of like that. He then puts glitter on it. I feel like I've only got this kind of like bronzy glitter, and I feel like it's gonna like cover it up, so I'm gonna skip that part, sorry. But he does a tight line.
Then I tight lined under my eye with some black. Then I applied my lashes in the style Aurora by Rochelle, and they're beautifully wispy. Then I smoked out the bottom lash line with the same colors that I did in the transition.
Okay, so all of this is a bit rushed through, but he tight lines. Then we're gonna quickly do some mascara. Doesn't say that he curls his eyelashes. This is the NARS Climax Extreme Mascara. It's like the mini version. To be honest, this look is giving me very like 2016 glam. But I feel pretty. But I find it bizarre we don't have any like powder, like bronzer or blusher on at this stage. Like mascara is normally one of the last things I do. Now I'm going to put lashes on. It's all out of sync, and he does do quite a full lash. So I'm going to take these lashes. They are half lashes, but they're quite like long half lashes. These are actually a bit bigger than I intended, but I mean, go big or go home, I guess. Okay, so lashes are on, and then he goes along the lower line, lash line, with kind of all the colours that he used before, but it doesn't look super dark. So I feel like he doesn't do any under eye mascara, which is a little alien for me. He then dusts off his bake.
I'm now just gonna lightly dust off my baking powder.
I mean, my skin is looking airbrushed.
Okay, so for blush, I love this technique that looks like a sunset to me, so I just started calling it sunset blush. I take a little bit of a peach and then apply a pink, but oh, before I do sunset blush, let me add my contour. Okay, so for the sunset blush, I'm gonna take Freaky Peach right here and apply it, blending this into the contour right towards the back, so it's contour and then peach.
Okay, he goes into blush, but then he's like, ooh, I've not contoured. So I'm guessing he powder bronzers, and I've got the Rimmel natural bronzer because it's quite a warm look, and he goes quite heavy with his bronzer. Okay, and then he goes back to his blush, and he says he does this kind of like sunset blush thing where he takes a peach and then a pink. So I've got this palette by BH Cosmetics called Vanilla Cream why can I not speak? Vanilla Cream Truffle. Why was that so hard to say? And he says that he takes a peach and then a pink. So I am going to give that a go. So I'm going to take the peach. And then he takes like a baby doll pink and kind of puts that over. I do actually think that looks quite pretty, but it's just a lot kind of more blush than I would like normally wear, but I really don't mind that.
I always forget to include this part in my videos, but this is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Global Glow.
And it goes in with highlighter, and I have the MAC Soft and Gentle. And he takes it on a little fluffy brush. I have one. And then does a dot on the end of his nose. Then he goes down the bridge. I actually think that looks quite pretty on the end of the nose. Kind of, yeah. So it gives it like an extra dimension, and I kind of agree.
I like to take that and kind of put it right here in the inner corner. It's just those little last minute details that makes the makeup stand the freak out.
And then he takes that same highlighter and works it into that kind of inner corner, but kind of works it down to the bridge.
One of the things that I also do off camera is touch up my brows because these seem to get a little bit wonky. The brows are mainly for a guide in the beginning. By the time I finish all the makeup, it like kind of erases, so I'll show you what I do. I'm not perfect at this step, but I like to take the Anastasia brow pen in the shade medium brown and a dark brown brow kiki pencil from one size.
And he goes back into the brows. So we are now swapping all the way back to the brows. I don't have like a brow like pen. So I'm going to go in with a very thin brush and kind of a dark brown colour and see if that adds in like hair stroke. I mean, it kind of has. I think it would have been better if I did have like a little pen, but... And then he goes back in with his pencil and kind of draws some brow hairs as well. I mean, my brows are very blocky, so I feel like this is not really showing up, but...
And to complete the brows, I'm gonna add a little bit of that dark brow gel since all the powder steps are literally done.
And then we're gonna go over with a brow gel and just run the brow gel, but he doesn't like change obviously his brow shape because we've already like drawn them on, so you almost have to like keep them within the lines that you've like filled in.
Alright guys, for my lips, this is my secret combo for like any glamorous event that I go to.
So for lips, he goes in with kind of like a neutral brown, and I've got the NYX Sandstorm. And I'm just lining my lips as normal up with this.
Nude. There are certain types of nudes for golden undertone skin tones that look really, really beautiful when paired with the right liners. So,
and then he goes in with a super light, like inner lip colour. And I have got the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in Cairo, and it's like foundation lips, but he says that this is the look. And he runs this in the middle. So super nude lip moment, and then we set our face. So I'm going to go with my Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray from Charlotte Tilbury.
now it's time to put on mascara. This mascara is really pretty on the bottom lashes just because the brush is so small.
And then after all of that, he goes in and does the bottom lashes, which I'm happy about, but the order of all of this is blowing my mind. Sorry for a bit of a different angle. My battery died, so I just had to swap that out. So yeah, so this step is under eye mascara at the very end, which I find interesting that this is the final step. I actually do think my skin looks really kind of like airbrushed. It's maybe a bit light. I think I need to... I've been sitting in the sun quite a lot, And actually all my foundations that I used to use are just very white for me, so I think I need to get like a few more like warmer shades, because it's just making me look like it's not like perfect. Okay, and so this is the final look. I actually really do like the eyes. I think the eyelashes are maybe a bit big, but that's again probably my choice and probably not the best choice I could have made. Do I think I'm gonna start changing up the order of doing things? Probably not. I think that like dotting around just doesn't make sense to me. But I do like some of the techniques. I actually really like the eye colour, and I think the like kind of contouring and that layering of blush actually does look quite pretty. Eyebrows, they are just giving like, they're just a bit blocky, so I think I would probably end up sticking to how I do my brows now. But I actually like really enjoy this kind of glam. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed following along with me. I hope I did the makeup justice. Thank you so much for watching, and like always I leave all of the products I used down below. I'll also leave a link to Patrick's video and I'll leave that below. And yeah, thanks so much for watching.